toothbrushes than mobiles by the end of this year. And they'll say, how do you know?
The other way around, more mobiles than toothbrushes.
More mobiles than toothbrushes. And they'll say, how do you know? Well, Richard Quest said so. No. Yes?
Exactly.
No. So, we have two choices.
Yeah?
All right.
Brush your teeth or make a call.
We could do both. All right, we have to. Hey, there's an idea for Nokia. The mobile phone that is a toothbrush. We've got two choices. We can either let that statistic stand,
Yeah.
or we can all go out and buy half a dozen toothbrushes.
No, let it stand, it rocks. I loved it. Would you like to take a question from the
I'll take
audience?
any questions.
Yeah?
Take
Anybody with a question?
I'll take questions, lunch, dinner, and a first-class ticket.
All right. Yeah?
That's good. How's it changing the team that works at CNN in terms of how do you monitor social media, how do you authorize it?
Hugely. It's dramatically changing the way because not only do you have to have the infrastructure to go out and gather the news and bring it in, so we have BGANs for satellite transmission, we have mobile phones. The Nokia N90, funnily enough, was one of the first the phones that we ever used to transmit with. The funny shaped one with the thing. But when you have iReports and you have the citizen journalists sending in their material, you have to have an infrastructure in place to guard against basically rogue stories, exaggerated facts, and you know, your credibility is like your virginity. To continue.
Okay, give us more of that.
Well,
What do you mean?
once it's gone, it ain't coming back.
That's funny.
So, to answer your point, you better be very careful. The world is replete with stories of newspapers and television companies that have been roundly hoaxed by people, deliberately or otherwise. Managing the social media phenomenon. For example, whenever now there's a story, whenever there's a story, a big story, and I can think of several, Norway massacre is one, any story where there's going to be vast potential to get social media content and find out what's happening. Your first object is to plug into that and then to test it as to whether or not it's valid. Because if you don't do that second part, you're just basically a bilge pump.
Any more questions?
So, yes sir.
How do you, in terms of social media, as much as all over the world, the people are using it, the impact in Africa is not so felt.
The what?
The impact.
Not yet. Not yet.
I mean in Africa.
Yeah.
Oh, what are they doing wrong? Why are they not taking such an opportunity like the rest of the world?
They will. It'll just take longer. Simple as that. I mean, if you bear in mind that Africa, and it's a good example, Africa has leapfrogged the landline status. The days when it took 3, 4, 5 years to get a landline in Africa, well now people don't bother to get a landline, they've just jumped straight away to the mobile revolution. With that mobile revolution, in the fullness of time, will follow on the social media revolution. But it will not happen like as fast as it's happened in the United States or the United Kingdom or Europe, but it will happen. And I will guarantee you, and I'll lay money that it will happen. And it will happen within years, if not months.
Any more questions?
Stunned into silence.
Come on, give us another one, or we'll give you 2.
Yeah?
Yeah? One in the back.
I wanted to ask you about how social media is changing how you make editorial decisions about the news, because it seems to me that until you have social media, journalists in the newsroom or editors would decide what got onto the news, what was news. Whereas now, because of tweeting and social media, there's a momentum behind stories that's generated by people themselves. Do you think that's true?
I think it's absolutely true. There is a section now within every newsroom meeting where you look at what social media is covering. And I make no apology for that. But your question, if I what you're really getting at is how far do we let social media drive the agenda? You're being polite in the way you put the question, but what you're really asking me is, does social media drive the agenda? Is that right? Yeah. It's nice of you to be polite, but don't worry too much with it. It doesn't drive the agenda in terms of the big story of the day. I promise you this, on CNN or any other major network, the big story of the day is always going to be driven by what's happened and by the facts and the events. Where there is a component for social media is what people are saying about it and how people are reacting to it. And that is no different to the old days where you had the radio phone-in, where you had people sending letters to the editor. Sometimes, though, to answer your point, you do get the Mary Beale sort of situation, which comes out of nowhere. Let's see if we can enjoy Dear Mary again. Because frankly, it was so precious, this. Is it going to run? Now, would this have remained a big story if it hadn't been picked up by social media? Was this a case of social media driving because it was so easy with mobile phones?
Unbelievable. Actually, I have a question for you, if I may. So, what's a day in the life of Richard Quest like? I mean, you brush your teeth, I take it, and then what happens after that? How do you know what you're going to cover that day?
You don't. So tonight, for example, it's 1:15 now. Tonight I'm actually anchoring the program tonight. I came back from the States, got in yesterday.
Yeah, with the famous Latin passenger you had next to you.
Oh yeah, this is great.
You tweeted about.
This is great. How do you answer this passenger? So there I am. I'm flying back. I'm flying yesterday, or the day before, from Phoenix to Los Angeles. And the passenger sitting next to me on the plane hears the captain's announcement. And it's a female captain. And it's also a female co-pilot. 2 women in the cockpit. And I'm not joking. This passenger said to me yesterday, "Oh my God," she's a woman, "Oh my God, there are 2 women flying this plane. It's a man's job."
It ain't any longer, baby.
What do you say? Anyway, what do I do today? Tonight I'm doing Quest Wings Business.
Yeah.
Amongst, obviously, the high points of the program tonight will be... Are you
interviewing somebody or...?
Well, we've interviewed Stephen Elop.
Oh, very good.
So there'll be a good chunk of Mr. Elop in the program. And obviously, the fact that the Eurozone is slowly but surely going down the toilet unless they manage to do something about it.
Okay.
I mean, the capacity for inaction at this moment in Brussels is quite startling.
Yeah.
So you're laughing, sir. Who agrees with me?
Everyone. So more questions. Everybody's waking up. Right?
Any more questions? Yes, sir. Sorry?
We've been talking about 25-year-olds.
We've been talking about 25-year-olds today, in terms of the generation we go after next, both in the way they think. So you can be 42 like me and still be 25. But do you think the next generation of 25-year-olds will read newspapers? Or is the victory of the screen going to win out?
I hope I'm wrong, but I think the victory of the screen is going to win out. When I talk to journalism students, and I try to impress upon them the importance of having the physical newspaper. They all tell me that they read the FT or the New York Times, and they all proudly tell me they read it online. And I say to them, yeah, but you've got to actually have the paper. And yet somehow, you're nodding, sir, but somehow I can't really explain why you've got to have the paper. Which raises the fundamental question: is the quality of reading and comprehension as good when you read it on a screen as when you read it in the physical paper? Do you think it is? Let's have a vote. If you read The Economist online, is your comprehension as good as if you read it in the physical paper? Who thinks it makes no difference? Who thinks the physical paper is better? Who thinks the screen is better? So we're just about balanced between the physical paper and makes no difference. So to answer your question, I do worry that the days of the physical paper are seriously numbered. There's always going to be a couple. There'll always be the, I'm not going to mention them because somebody will tweet, Quest has just forecast the death of XYZ. You know, who's tweeted while I've been talking? You know, you've got to be really, thank you. Bloody nuisance.
Plus, there's always places where you read, where you don't have a screen, right? I won't go into detail. I'm sure people reading funny.
What I say to journalism students is, keep The Economist next to the loo.
Precisely.
All right? Sorry? You can quote me. Keep The Economist next to the loo. At least you're guaranteed to read it once a day.
Read it for sure. More questions?
Any other questions?
There were some in the back? No? With that, I really want to thank you. And you know what, Richard? I think I'm going to call my mom and tell her I was on stage with Richard Quest. How about that?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This is a little Finnish present for you. Hope you like it. Stephen talked about Alvar Aalto, so that's his design.
Excellent.
So hope you enjoy it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.